crazy 800-pound silverback bursting through the tree. Samoan babies that can run fast. I mean, that's what's going to survive.
Okay, guys, I am back again for another episode of Into the Roganverse. I think that's what I'm calling it now. So what basically I'm going to do here is look through the Joe Rogan subreddit. You know, the Joe Rogan subreddit is a little more mixed. It's very, like, there's so many different subjects. Sometimes things that are not really that related to Joe Rogan, but maybe in the realm of maybe Joe possibly liking it, talking about it, having a problem with it, etc., etc. So we're gonna go through this subreddit and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna watch a couple clips, maybe read a couple things, and yeah, let's just start the show. So we got Jon Stewart, Spittin' Fire.
The eternal promise etched at the feet of Lady Liberty that speaks to our better angels.
The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants.
These people are folks that we should be helping. America welcomes immigrants.
We want people to come here, despite where they came from or despite the circumstances that drove them to this country.
This is a place where the Statue of Liberty sits in the harbor, and we say, bring us your tide. Those who are yearning to be free.
Okay, so I know a little bit about this. Apparently, John is going to call them hypocrites because they came out saying that, you know, we're going to welcome all the immigrants in, and the Republicans took advantage of that, and, like, what's his name, Governor Abbott and DeSantis decided to ship their illegal immigrants to those states like New York, California, any other sanctuary city.
Less than an hour ago, a busload of migrants arrived in Los Angeles. They'd been sent to California from Texas. The bus arrived at LA's Union Station this afternoon, and some were later taken to this Catholic church in downtown LA. This is the latest city to receive migrants from Texas. Since last year, Governor Greg Abbott has sent migrants to Washington, D.C., New York, Chicago, and Denver. In a tweet today, he says, quote, small Texas border towns remain overrun and overwhelmed because Biden refuses to secure the border. L.A. is a city migrants seek to go to, particularly now its leaders approved its self-declared sanctuary status, end quote. Earlier this month, the state of Florida flew 2 groups of migrants to Sacramento, about 36 people in all. California Attorney General Rob Bonta says he is investigating possible charges against Florida.
They pretty much made their cities kind of become unstable because of the vast amounts of people coming in. So yeah, let's keep going.
Unshakable. Bedrock.
And we say, bring us your tide. Those who are yearning to be free.
Unshakable. Bedrock. American values of compassion and empathy. And there is not a damn thing that you can do to change that.
Buses arriving in New York City from Texas, one after another, filled with migrants seeking asylum.
That's all you got? Nice try, Texas, but you heard the mayor. We're New York City. How dare you? No disrespect. But you are never going to change our values because you're afraid. So keep sending those busloads because we got plenty of room in our hearts and in this city.
We have no more room in the city.
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of funny too because if you think about it, the governors are also doing, like, I don't understand why they can't reverse it back on them and say, hey, look, you're doing some illegal things too. You're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to take care of them and ship them back yourself, you know? But, you know, Republicans be doing Republican shit.
What about the yearnings and the tiredness? And the tiredness of those who are doing the yearning?
110,000 migrants. We have to feed, clothe, house, educate the children, wash their laundry sheets. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City.
I mean, they're supposed to be doing our sheets. What's going on around here? What kind of topsy-turvy world are we living in over here? Yes, it turns out in the age-old battle between values and fear, values never had a f***ing chance.
Yeah, look, the problem that happens is that they run out of money. They run out of money to house them. They can't, pretty much give them the humanitarian effort to, bathe them, dress them, and process them in time because they're just so overbooked that it's going to take longer for them to actually do something. And that's a problem because there's a quota, right? There's probably a certain quota out there that they do, but this influx of immigrants caused an instability in the state, and especially New York, which is like, think about New York, it's like one of the most expensive states out there, that with the rent, like you heard the freaking, those those jokes about you living in a closet and it's worth $2,000.
May be the actual smallest apartment in New York City, but is it even an apartment? All right, so you've got your door right there, perhaps a little desk or something right there, a hanging rack, 2 shelves, 1 window, which is where you put an air conditioner as well, and the rest of the space. So that's about 6.5 feet by close to 8 feet. I guess you're putting like an elevated twin bunk bed with a desk or some storage under it, and that's about it. This is currently available for $1,200 a month. At least the ceilings are pretty tall.
So yeah, like New York is one of the worst places to probably like have an influx of them coming in like that. And Jon Stewart is not gonna let this thing go. Of course not. Like they're kind of like, what do they call it? Virtue signaling or something like that, where you make yourself sound like a savior, a hero, but then in the end you get kind of exposed for just being a hypocrite and just blatantly lying about what you really thought, and once shit hit the fan, you got shit on you. All right, we got next clip. We got Shane Gillis speaking up to Schulz. So from what I know about this is that it's been blowing up on Reddit. Andrew Schulz tries to make fun of people with Down syndrome. Shane shuts him down. Kind of feels like he's being very disrespectful towards the community. And I guess the reason why Andrew does that is because he's probably heard that Shane makes fun of himself. Yeah, so let's watch this clip here.
It actually has been working out, dude. This is
Yo! Let's see it. Hold on.
That's crazy.
Oh my God.
Oh, you look good. Is this from West Point?
That actually is.
Oh, nice.
You guys, and you know what?
That's his rival's profile picture. Shane, can we click the video? I just want to hear the sound. I just want to hear the sound.
It's his Sue. It's
Sue. Yeah.
Nah, you look great, dog. Congrats.
I don't think that's funny.
But yeah, I see that. I see why.
Like you don't get it, you mean?
Yeah.
But that's not me, so
yeah,
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't get the joke. What do you say?
Yeah, it's okay, dude.
So my guy's nice.
By the way,
that's wow.
These guys are awesome.
Yeah,
they're having fun.
Yeah,
for you guys to sit here and be like,
wait a minute,
let's bring it up and mock them. That's up, dude. That's a dude. By using them as an insult.
Using. We're using you.
No, I'm not being a victim. I'm saying the jokes you're doing is not. It's not like.
It's not PC.
That's not cool.
You know, it's
triggering.
You're making fun of these guys, these Down syndrome dudes, putting out TikTok.
I think the problem is that Andrew, he said that, I'm making fun of you, not them. But Andrew is making fun of them because Shane isn't a person with Down syndrome. He's not. He's a regular guy. he may look like he has Down syndrome, right? That's the joke of it. And also, like, Theo Von has a great joke, like, oh man, you know, people thought I had Down syndrome when I was a kid, but I beat it, right? That's the joke.
It'll cure Down syndrome, bro. I beat it.
How you beat it?
There was a lot of rumors in my town that I beat Down syndrome.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's inspiring, man.
That's how I felt when I heard him, because I didn't start him.
I think Shane kind of did enable this kind of thing to happen because he kind of made himself look, you know, Down syndrome-y at times. And he went in on Joe Rogan podcast and said that he acted like one of them, or he looked like he was one of them. I think that was probably the better explanation. Somebody thought he looked like one of those people, one of the people with Down syndrome, and they just let him be in the game, like nearby. Like, I guess it was like a basketball game or football game or something like that, and he was able to be like really, really close to the players, so he got away with it. Maybe like Andrew heard some of those things and he thought it would be okay for him to do that, but the way I guess Andrew did it, the way he approached things, it just did not look good. That's what I think might have happened here. But this did kind of make him seem like an asshole, but I'm pretty sure he's going to go on this podcast and talk about people being mad at him for it. He's going to try to maybe explain it. So let's wait on that video to come out. Okay, guys, let's get to the next clip. Chris D Elia realizes you can save Snapchats. Now, this is an old clip, guys. What is it doing over here? So as some of you guys might know, Chris D Elia got in trouble a while back. Some people came out, some women came out against him allegedly for being a pest. Some allegations of maybe trying to start his own sect, maybe like a Nexium, right? Like, if you guys understand that reference. He had an apology video. Then he lost, you know, his Hollywood jobs, the movie with Zack Snyder, Army of the Dead, and then through all that, you know, he lost it. Now he works with Brandon Schaub. So the ultimate curse.
But hold on a second. How did it come out? Like, how did they?
The boy's mother ended up finding it.
Fucking
finding
haters.
it? What do you mean? Snapchat goes away, right? How they?
He probably saved it. You can screen record, take screenshots.
How could this happen to me? Let's get to the comments here. Snoopy McGee says, "This is the look of a man who knows shit about to hit the fan." That rhyme, brother. The free baller says he probably didn't realize the magnitude of how hard the shit was gonna hit. If somebody just told him he'd end up hosting a podcast with Bappa, then he'd get it and probably needed to be put in a padded cell, restrained for a few days or two. Now, I don't know. Now, ever since he got caught up, the alleged stuff is still ongoing. It's being investigated. And as of recently, he's, you know, he has a kid now. I think he's got another kid coming in the way. He's married. So he's trying to put his life back on track. His comedy stand-up didn't really, like, slow down. Like, I've already told some of you guys, if you guys know me, you don't really get canceled in comedy. You somehow still manage to keep working. Clubs don't care what you do as long as you make money for them, okay? But that's all I gotta say about that. All right. So now we get this one. We get to here, and this is a post. Shaken espresso latte. That's the original poster of this. This comment aged like a fine wine. Shoot Central said this guy should still be in prison. Now, why is he saying he should be in prison, right? I was reading up on it because I know it's like around here somewhere, down here somewhere. Okay, so I found this Coffeezilla video. We could just watch a little bit of it because he explains it pretty well. So what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna watch this Coffeezilla video about this guy. I don't know his name specifically, but he got caught up. He went on Joe Rogan's podcast, and then a month later, he got arrested. Supposedly, I think during that day, he might have committed the act, right? He might have killed somebody. And it's worse because from what I heard is that he chopped his body and was carrying it in a briefcase. So it's pretty bad. And the guy was like a prison rights protester or an advocate or something like that. But let's watch this video, Coffeezilla.
Lesser known is I'm interested in frauds of all kind. I'm fascinated by the way that our own trusting natures can be used against us by the worst of us. Today we're talking about one such man, Sheldon Johnson, an ex-convict who goes on the Joe Rogan Experience to fool everyone into thinking that he's a changed man. He got out, he's completely reformed, and people bought this hook, line, and sinker only for a month later him to get arrested for murdering somebody and trying to get away with it by dressing in a blonde wig. Now, this story is absolutely wild.
Blonde wig? You mean a yellow hoodie? Wait a minute. What the hell? Okay.
Somebody and trying to get away with it by dressing in a blonde wig. Now, this story is absolutely wild. But before we get into it, let me say, I actually think people's trusting natures, people's desire for redemption and redemption arcs in people to see people change is a good thing. I also think it's necessary for us to have a bit of skepticism when we're introduced to these great stories of redemption. Now, this whole thing starts, as I said, on the Joe Rogan Experience. A guy named Josh Dubin, a civil rights attorney, brings this guy on to talk about his experience. And one thing I found interesting is normally it sounds like Josh brings on people on the Joe Rogan Experience. Everyone knows sometimes there's like wrongfully convicted people. I think that's a great cause to raise awareness for that people.
Look, I'm going to say this. Serial killers have a tendency or have a skill to look and act to make themselves look like they're good people, right? It's all an illusion. It's a disguise for them to, pretty much prey on the person or trick them thinking that they're human like us, but in reality they're monsters. They're evil.
Sometimes are wrongly convicted. But right away, there's a bit of a different tone to this episode because they go, well, like, he's not wrongly convicted. He's actually rightfully convicted, which for me raised some red flags.
Typically, the person sitting to my right is someone that was wrongfully convicted. So I don't want to bury the headline. Sheldon is guilty.
Now, if you're asking yourself, well, why are you bringing a guy who is rightfully convicted on this show to, talk about how unfair it is? Pretty soon it gets brought up that
because Joe can kill this man. Nah, I'm just kidding. But a straight roundhouse kick to the stomach, that'll just explode his kidney. Straight up.
The real problem with Sheldon Johnson's conviction was the sentencing. He was sentenced to 50 years by the judge who, in Sheldon Johnson's own words, basically treated him like he was nothing.
And he just called me a menace to society, and he gave me 50 years.
Now, the guy who brings him on, Josh Dubin, calls this a travesty. He says, this was just a second offense. And the people in question, the people this guy robbed, spoiler alert, Sheldon Johnson robbed these guys, they only got 2 stitches. And that's kind of brought up as like the unbelievable fact is that Sheldon Johnson got 50 years for 2 stitches. Like, what are we doing here? It's this, travesty of the criminal justice system.
I know I've said this before, and it probably sounds repetitive, but another miracle sitting to my right, just like a marvelous human being who was basically told by a judge, by an African-American judge, that you don't matter, you don't count, and I'm going to throw your life away for a crime in which the victim received 2 stitches, and on a second offense, his first offense being a gun possession charge.
So what I understand it is that his stitches is like he got stitches on his face, he got a stitch because he got cut, and maybe he whipped them, pistol whipped 2 of these 2 guys, and the judge wanted to make an example out of him and said, nah, you deserve to be in jail forever. I think that's what I'm understanding.
So I will say this, that he received a sentence that far eclipses a sentence that would be commonly doled out for murder or manslaughter.
So now that you understand sort of why he was on Joe Rogan to talk about how unfair this was, I want to say that, I'm not going to get into the legality of, whether that's a good sentence, bad sentence. What I will say is that watching the...
Well, I think, in my opinion, I don't know nothing about the law, but, I mean, putting somebody for 50 years for smacking somebody or two people in the face, I don't know, it's kind of excessive, especially if it's, your second... offense, but I don't know, I don't know, guys, let me know what you guys think about this. I mean, of course, now in hindsight, you're like, yeah, that should have, he should have just stayed in jail, right? But, if it was anybody else, then I would say that's too excessive, right?
Full episode back, I realized it wasn't quite as simple as Josh was making it sound. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, oh, he put me away for, 2 stitches. That's not really what happened. I mean, essentially, there was a gun possession charge, but then the exact details of these robberies are kind of wild. It's pretty clear that although it ended up with 2 stitches, it could have gone a lot worse. Basically, sounds like they held a gun to this guy's head and robbed him, and then did the same thing to another guy. And even just hearing Sheldon Johnson, it doesn't sound like it was a non-threatening situation. It sounds like someone definitely could have gotten killed, which, spoiler alert, is what happens after he gets out of jail.
As far as I was concerned,
so that's wild. That it turns even more wilder than that.
his jury was even. So I robbed him. And I took his jury. And his girlfriend happened to be there, and unfortunately she got caught up in the situation. I had a bunch of young guys with me, and they robbed her as well. And he got hit in the head with the gun right here on the side of his head, and he got 2 stitches.
So yeah, this wasn't like getting punched. It was you pistol whipped a guy.
Oh, it was one guy. Oh, man, my bad. I thought it was 2 people.
With a
one guy, 2 stitches. Oh, okay.
Gang of other guys robbing this guy and his girlfriend. They do this again, and then he finally gets caught for it. And the judge says, okay, you seem like a menace to society. He throws the book at him, which, I'm not really going to defend that. I mean, I think we do have criminal justice problems. But in hindsight, the judge was right. I mean, say what you want about anything else. Turns out the judge was right, because after getting out, after fooling the entire Joe Rogan audience into thinking, this poor guy, he's completely changed. He's turned his life around, etc. Sheldon Johnson goes right back to his old ways, unfortunately. So here's the details of the story. Warning, it's pretty gruesome. Basically, cops found a dismembered body in a Bronx apartment where Sheldon Johnson, basically, it sounds like, went to an old enemy's place, held him up at gunpoint, and then killed him. Neighbors told cops the victim was heard desperately pleading with his killer shortly before 2 shots rang out in the apartment near Ogden Avenue. Please don't, the doomed man was heard saying. I have a family.
Damn, this guy did not care. In a freaking whole ass apartment. You're gonna hear that. People are gonna hear that. The people that live in an apartment are gonna hear a couple of gunshots and somebody yelling for their life.
Sheldon Johnson did not care about that, and he was caught on security surveillance footage, walking out of the apartment in and out, and eventually trying to get materials to clean up the mess, clean up the crime scene. He brought a blue bin and eventually is seen trying to leave with a blonde wig.
Oh, I thought that, I was like, we're looking at the hoodie, and I was like, that's not a blonde wig, that's a hoodie, but this is a blonde wig. Dude, why that wig? That's the most obvious, most suspicious thing a black person can do.
Wig, which, honestly, that ain't helping you, brother. We know what you're... That's such a hilarious screenshot. That was not working. That's Clark Kent putting on the glasses and thinking, nobody's going to see through it. We've also gotten footage released of him leaving the apartment with cleaning supplies, which I found pretty interesting. And essentially a pretty observant neighbor, they heard the gunshots and, thank goodness, reported it. Sounds like the cops were called. and ultimately he was arrested. But going back to the con artistry part of this whole story, because again, that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in how we can be fooled as a public by these people who are always telling us, that's the old me, this is the new me. And again, I think that's a beautiful part of human nature to believe that. But it is also interesting to look at the red flags we could have seen coming. So
okay, you should know. You guys should know. Maybe this is also kind of a joke, but Joe is very forgiving. Just look at Joey Diaz. I mean, if you know Joey Diaz always tells the story of when he kidnapped somebody and basically like robbed them as well, and then he went to jail for that. And Joey says that nowadays he actually meets up with him. They became friends, but for a while he was the guy that he kidnapped did not want anything to do with Joey Diaz because he got kidnapped by him, right? Of course, like damn, like talk about PTSD, right, or trauma.
And whatever happened with Kent, the guy that got tied up?
Kent, the guy that got tied up, I'm in close contact with him now.
Really?
Yeah, I apologized to him on the podcast.
Oh, wow.
About 15 years. No, for years I kept calling him. Like listen, when I got out of jail and I was in the halfway house one night, I went to a bar to get some Coke and Kent was there. And he goes, "What are you doing out?" And I go, "Kent, come on, bro. You got anything?" And he goes, "Yeah. What do you need?" I go, "Grab a Coke." And as he's weighing it in the bathroom, he looks at me and goes, "The last time I sold you Coke, you kidnapped me." And we're talking. I'm like, "Kent, I'm sorry. I was having a bad day." And we talked. I bought him a fucking drink at the bar. We chit-chatted. Everything was beautiful. And then I disappeared. I got into comedy or whatever. 10 years later, he's on Facebook. So I started hitting him on Facebook.
So this is kind of a pattern that Joe Rogan does with his friends.
I want to point out two things. One, I was looking at it, and it doesn't seem to me like this was some big crime of passion. Seems like it was a premeditated thing, because the victim is identified as Colin Small, who may have had a beef with Johnson while they were both doing time at Sing Sing prison. So it sounds like Johnson got out, and he has this beef with a guy. He gets invited on the Joe Rogan Experience, and like, here's my thing. He must have known that he had the problem with this guy, decides to go on Joe Rogan and say, "Hey, I'm changed. I'm a changed man. I learned to manage my anger." All this stuff. All the while, you know what I mean? It's not like he gets into an altercation after the fact, and not knowing that was somehow.
Didn't prison teach you anything? Like, this guy, of course, he's crazy. Like, dude, you got out of jail, dude. Stay out of jail. But of course not. That's how they are. They built different.
How in his life, right? Like, that's what I found so strange about this. So he went on this show knowing that he's still got problems with people. Knowing that, I don't know, I found this so strange. I'm like, the part that interests me, I'm thinking, did he know while he was on the show what was going to happen? Eventually, like, right? Did he just think he was going to get away with it, I guess is my point.
He was thinking, nah, if I go on Joe Rogan's podcast, how could I be there and then also at the apartment all at once, right? Or how did I get there so fast, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand either. I don't understand how he would think that as well. Like, that's just my wild guess on what he might think. Obviously, this man just had murder on his mind.
To me, this all seems very premeditated, right? And this is also why I was kind of shocked that Josh Dubin brought him on. Because again, like I said, normally he's bringing on people who were wrongly convicted. And you have to wonder, like, he was sitting next to this guy as he describes, what happened. And his own description is not good. He talks about his time in jail and, like, how he wasn't just some ordinary guy. He was, like, the top of the gang. And he says this himself.
There's so much bullshit because I was in a gang and I was top of the food chain. I had my own nation. I wasn't just like the random gang member. I had a whole nation under me.
This is what I think is wild. I mean, when that judge who sentenced him looked at his case, I wonder if he kind of saw that. It was like, look, by this guy's own admission, I'm not just a regular guy. I'm not just an ordinary.
He's black Jeffrey Dahmer. Or I don't know, man. That's crazy. I mean, it's not that crazy. Let's be honest. There's one of them out of 10, 1 out of 10 serial killers in each friend group. It's a crazy thing that happens, man, in society. Like, there's leaders and then there's followers, man, and then some of them have charisma to run a gang or a group of people, or like what he said, a nation, the nation of domination.
Low level guy. He says, I was top of the food chain. I was robbing people with groups of guys around me, pistol whipping some of them, and taking their money. And so when the judge calls him a menace to society, it's kind of hard to like be mad at the judge. I mean, this whole experience is supposed to get us mad at the judge, but in hindsight, it's like, bro called it. Now, I do want to say before we wrap this story up that I actually am very supportive of the Innocence Project, which Josh Dubin is a part of. Wrongful convictions do happen. And yes, even when somebody is rightfully convicted, sometimes the sentence doesn't fit the crime. Sometimes people can change. But sometimes they don't change at all. Sometimes they tell you exactly who they are on a podcast. And, you know, you have to believe them. Funny enough, although people are coming into the comment section now saying, you know, how it aged, you know, in hindsight.
Oh, there's the thing that we read. This guy should still be in prison. Oh, look at that, guys. We've made a full circle.
The judge was right, blah, blah, blah. I thought this guy had it right 1 month ago before anything happened. This guy says he's listening to Sheldon Johnson describe his history, and he says this guy should still be in prison. And unfortunately, he's right. And now someone's dead because he was let out. It's a really chilling story, reminding us of human nature, reminding us we can all be fooled, and also reminding us that the people who fool us have terrible escape outfits.
That's so like GTA, like when the cutscene when you have one of the characters like dressed up all goofy. This guy got in the cutscene at the wrong time.
I still can't get over it. He puts on a blonde wig. My guy was caught. 4K security footage over and over. I mean, you couldn't have stood in a worse hallway. You know what I mean? Like, you get brought it, you're bringing in the cleaning supplies, the blue bin, the blonde wig. I mean, my guy, I don't know how he did not think he was going to get caught here. He thought he was just going to go on Joe Rogan, become a celebrity, and still also do this. Although I should tell you that Sheldon maintains that he's innocent. Apparently, after being booked for the brutal murder of this guy, he yelled out, "I'm innocent, I'm innocent." I think he has to explain, though, why he was bringing in a bunch of cleaning supplies and bins at 2 a.m. in the morning. I mean, maybe he was, trying to clean the guy's house, make some side cash.
He had a wine party and he spilled wine all over the floor. Maybe that's what happened. If you don't clean it up fast, it's gonna get sticky, and it might stain your floors. That's the problem with red wine.
Organize his house and happened to be in the room while he got murdered, but I'm not really buying it. So, just a reminder that, look, it's actually good that as a society we want redemption stories. At the same time, we've got to be watchful, because hidden amongst the people who change are people who haven't changed. And yeah, this is a crazy reminder of it. Okay, anyway, I just thought it was a really interesting story.
Okay, so that's a crazy series of events there. Let's wait for Joe Rogan to see this. I want to hear his response to that. He's going to be like, crazy. Oh my God. Like, he's going to be like, when he's commentating a fight, he's going to be like, oh, right? Like, he's going to freaking freak out. I mean, it's crazy that happened. I mean, he probably thought he was gonna be using Joe Rogan's place like as an alibi, and I don't think he was trying to be famous or nothing like that, but trying to not be suspicious at the same time, but also coming in at 2 a.m. with cleaning supplies, that's awfully suspicious, right? So he thought he was smart, but he was dumb at the same time. So that just that's how the way it is with, you know, serial killers or alleged killers like this, because he says he's innocent. So until the courts prove otherwise, innocent until proven guilty, right? I don't know. This is crazy. Let me know what you guys think about this. Man, that's a crazy thing. All right, guys. So we got another clip here. Zack Snyder treads on thin ice with Joe Rogan. Apparently, Zack Snyder, really good director. Sometimes, I think I liked Watchmen. What else did he do? Oh, Dawn of the Dead, right? He did Dawn of the Dead. I think that's the only ones that. Oh, Superman. I didn't watch Superman. I watched the Justice League one, the one that's like 5 hours. It was pretty good. I watched it, but yeah, I only watched it probably twice because my friends wanted to watch it too. But yeah, he's good sometimes. He's good sometimes. But yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
I mean,
I guess Zack is, what they call it, glazing up Batman here. He's glazing the hell out of Batman, Ben Affleck's depiction of Batman. And of course he is. He's the one that casted him as that Batman. And look, I'll be honest, my personal opinion, he's probably like the best looking Batman, comic book wise, like tall, like what's his name? Christian Bale, pretty good, but was like skinnier. What isn't as tall as Ben? I think who's the other one? Robert Pattinson, younger Batman, right? More punk, rocky Batman. And then the retro ones like Michael Keaton, old Batman. I guess, but I think they all serve like their own era or their own kind of universe. Like they fit into that, right? And Ben Affleck's universe is way more brutal than any. Then maybe Roberts too is also very brutal, but for sure he's like Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder likes them big boys. Look at him. He's like, looking at the movie. They're playing the movie. He's like, God damn, Batman's so big right now. Can't even fit his finger in the trigger hole.
Hey, Batman, but he's still like, you know.
Joe Rogan's like, so what's up with the short dudes? You don't like the short dudes as Batman? Huh? What do you got against short people, huh, Zach? Joe's like fuming. He's like, what? Short kings can't be Batmans? Or what? What the fuck? Let's look at the comments here, guys. Fish in you says Christian Bale is only 5'10", basically a manlet. You know what I mean, Joe? Death Scroll says, I gotta admit, it kind of hit me right in the 5'10" bones. I'm 5'9", so it totally went over my head. Our video says Snyder's only 5'7" himself. He thinks, I think he's into big dudes. Short kings always are. I mean, look, I'm 5'9", guys, and look, they're right. That's why Vince McMahon liked them big dudes, man. That's why he liked the Hulkamania, or Hulkamania, the Hulkster, or Triple H, or John Cena. Well, John Cena's like 6'1", but you know, some people like those kind of dudes, you know, and Zack kind of wanted the more realistic version that he liked, and that is the freaking alpha male version of Batman. And I guess this is just a joke from the Reddit to make fun of Joe Rogan's height here. Alright, let's get to the next clip. Andrew Schulz roasts Meek Mill over his alleged sexual relations with Diddy.
I was like, Meek Mill, guys, I'll be honest with you, the history in doing that. When someone accuses you of being gay, you don't get on Twitter and go, I love pussy so much, it's so juicy and wet, it's my favorite thing to put my dick in. I just put my dick in and it squeezes my dick and it's so juicy and it's so wet. He was like, I even had sex with a girl on her period. That's how you know I love women. He tweeted that and I was like, oh, he thinks that's disgusting. And you know who else thinks that's disgusting?
It's like when Jesse Lee Peterson got caught up by Ethan Klein, told him, "Hey, did you post this thing on your Twitter, like this gay or two guys kissing? I think it was more specifically." And he was like, "No, that's not me." He's like, "Are you sure? Because this is your account." And then after, like, well, of course he also like denied it, but then after that he went to a straight parade to prove he wasn't gay. It's kind of like that. That's just kind of something to. It's just kind of funny, and I think that's what Schulz is trying to hit at.
Nah, but shout out Meek, bro. Shout out Meek, man. He's done a lot of amazing things with prison reform, right? Getting all them gay dudes out so he can suck their dicks properly. A bunch of fine-ass motherfuckers in jail. We need them on the street so I can bust them cheeks. Hop in the back of his dirt bike or the front, whatever, you know.
Look, man, all I gotta say, there's nothing wrong with being gay. You can be, you could be whatever levels of gay you want to be. I don't care. Like, it's not my life. That's your life. I ain't gonna stop you from doing what you want to do. I don't know. I don't know much about this thing, this beef. Let me know down below what you guys think. I don't know too much specifically about this, other than I think P. Diddy was exposed, and then it was a kind of a chain reaction, and then Meek Mill got caught up in it too. So I don't know. Let's look at the comments here. Just kind of curious. Montug Mind Control says he would wear fake ripped Carhartt pants. Oh my God, they're talking about his pants. Nothing about. Yeah, nothing. So it's nothing about the joke. It's only them roasting his clothes. God damn it. All right, let's get to the next clip. This one is called "Hilarious Moment When Kanye Fell Asleep During the Podcast and Joe Checks to See If He Was Okay."
It's and
And then I think after that he's like, "What's going on there?" And he's like, I was just praying. I was just praying.
it's very transactional. It's and I just said a prayer.
That's just so funny. Just a quick clip, I guess. I mean, that episode with him, I think it was kind of like weird, right? Like, I don't remember much about it, but Kanye is a weird dude, man. He was doing some weird things in that episode.
How much does the earth cost? I'm gonna buy the entire earth and be king.
What would you do if you were the leader of the free world?
I'm gonna take the smartest people on the planet and make them work on mechanical bees.
All right, let's get to the next clip. Even Europe is having the same culture war debates that we have. The trans debate ends in 17 seconds. It says 16. You're lying to me.
Alors, Guignou, vous êtes transgenre, vous étiez une fille, et maintenant vous êtes un gars.
Okay, let me read it.
Vous êtes
Used to be a girl.
transgenre, vous étiez une fille, et
And now you're a boy.
maintenant vous êtes un garçon. Et
And you're happy?
vous heureux?
Oui, je suis très heureux.
Yes, I'm really happy, says the other guy.
Oui.
Sure. But listen, says the guy next to him.
Mais enfin, tout de même, Jésus.
Jesus, he says.
Oh, ta gueule.
And then the host says, can it?
Voilà, c'était Flash Débat.
And then he says, and that's Flash Debate. See you tomorrow.
À demain.
I mean, they're doing it right. I mean, just cut to the chase, basically. I like it. I like it, Europe. Very creative. Let's look at the top comment here. Truth or SF says, yeah, it's interesting that such a small percentage of our population takes up so much air in our daily discussions. It's almost like it's intentional to take focus away from shit that actually matters. Keep worrying about trans people, you gullible dum-dums. Yeah, I think that's like what they try to shove in your face rather than talk about actual change in maybe your pockets, because what somebody puts in their butts or takes out or puts in, it's none of my concern, right? It's like, unless it's like, of course, like, CP or something like that, right? Or essays. But more importantly, the thing that usually affects an individual is money. And cultural things. The culture wars are just a distraction from actual things, from actually bettering our lives. All right, guys, I'm gonna end it right here because it's been an hour already, and I'm gonna cut it down a little bit. So like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about this video. I'm messing up my hair already. Let me know what you guys think about this video. What a wild one. And like and subscribe, like I said, and I'll see you guys for another one. Bye bye.